What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 20 of the Elephant Wire Podcast, show we break down song lyrics and don't play you a damn second of the song, because major labels are thieving babies that would sue us up the ass. Today we have a very special topic, drugs. Let's fucking get some. Here we go.
Welcome to the Elephant Wire Podcast. Music.
Stop. Hold it. Before we go any further, I think it would be pretty fucking appropriate if I shotgun a beer. Just real quick, it just makes sense, because, and if you'd like to join me, I'm not going to wait for you, so I guess you could either pause it or play catch up later. But yeah, just given the topic matter today, I think it would just be appropriate. So I got my beer ready to go, and I'm spilling it everywhere. But all right, let's do this. No, fuck. Oh, fuck. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. Ooh. Now we're ready. Now we fucking get some. Ooh. Hell yeah.
Welcome to the Elephant Wire Podcast. Music. Drugs. Laughter. Lyrics.
That is what I'm talking about. I can only imagine how disgusting that probably sounded. So I apologize. I was actually just thinking about that as I was sitting here trying to regroup myself after shotgunning a beer. But yeah, I can only imagine how disgusting that sounded. If anyone was wearing headphones in a public place, I apologize. Hearing fucking gulping and belching. But like I said, it just makes sense. This is episode 20. This is Drug Stories from Concert Goers Like You. I've been excited about this episode for, I don't know, since before I even agreed to do this episode. I mean, this is the final episode of season 1. Welcome, one and all. We have had a blast this season. We've learned some shit. We cried. We laughed. And I feel like we're off and running. I'm ready for whatever the future holds for this podcast. I've been incredibly humbled by the reception that we've been getting. It's been insane how many people that I have had the opportunity to meet from literally all over the world. This has been absolutely outstanding. There's been a few people that right off the bat that I just want to give a giant thank you to. And one is just a giant lump sum, and that is all of our local bands that we've had on the podcast this season. That have been in the local band spotlight. So fucking dope that, how many of you that I've had the opportunity to just build a relationship with and just shooting the shit on Instagram or however, it's been absolutely outstanding to meet you guys. I also want to give a giant thank you. This season, we got 2 subscribers. We have 2 people that are supporting the podcast. And I just want to give a giant shout out to Dana in California. And I want to give a big shout out to Stan in Colorado. Thank you guys so much for your support and for supporting the podcast. I don't know if anyone caught this last week, but we are releasing a t-shirt. It is a men's black pocket tee. It has the middle finger alternate logo on the front pocket. On the back, it's got the big giant circle logo. They look super fucking fresh. And there will be more info over the next few weeks of how you can get one yourself. I believe at the current time, we're going to do $25 free shipping, is how it looks right now. So just climb into the DMs, all nice and smooth. Hit me up. We'll absolutely get you a t-shirt sooner than later in the size that you would prefer. But for Stan and for Dana, our 2 subscribers, once again, I would just like to say thank you so much for supporting the podcast. It means more than anything I would ever be able to say to you. So hopefully a free t-shirt will do it justice. So you guys are going to have a free t-shirt coming your way. So thank you so much. I'll be hitting you guys up on Instagram or however I can track you down. Or if you're listening right now, which I would assume if you're subscribing, you tend to listen. So if you hear this right now, Stan, Dana, thank you guys so much. Hit me up. I'll get you a t-shirt free of charge just to say thank you for everything that you've given us so far. But today we're going to take a break from our nerding out over music lyrics or trying to grow or whatever that we usually do. And today we're going to party. Today's going to be a good time. Today we're just going to have a good, plain old good time. So grab a beer, snag your bong, grab some boomers. Let's get fucking weird, guys. I've been pumped about this episode for a long time, and it has been an absolute blast. How many people that I've talked to about this episode and how exciting it is. I ended up kind of capping the submissions that I was getting in from stories. Some of the stories that I got in from people, their drug stories, a few of them I decided that I wasn't going to share because, some people kind of opened up about some shit that they'd been a part of, and yikes. But no, it was an absolute blast. How many people gave submissions from, at the time they took too many shrooms or snuck into a bottle of Tito's into a venue or, what have you. It was so much fun hearing all these stories from our listeners. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who submitted a story, whether it was over DM or they recorded one on our Anchor page or, well, actually, no, that's actually one thing I wanted to bring up. Because for the longest time, that's how I was telling people, hey, if you want to submit a story, go to our Anchor page and where you can leave us a message and you can record your drug story there. Little did I know that it has a 1 minute time limit, and anyone that can tell a drug story in 1 minute, that I don't really care about that story. No drug story takes 1 minute. There's a lot involved. So that's on me. And I apologize to no end to you guys, anyone that maybe tried to give it a try and went, oh, it's already done. What the fuck? Yeah, that's on me. I did not know that. So what I ended up having people do is just get them to me any way that they could. Email it, text it, DM it, however it ended up working. And we got it taken care of. We have two recorded stories today from people that were sent in. And the first one we're going to get actually right into right away. Our first story we got is from Ali Skiba. Ali is the owner of Electric Cherry, which is a record store right outside of Denver. Ali, total bad bitch. We fucking love her. She is the realness. She is an incredible business owner. She has been doing fantastic through COVID. And it has been awesome to see how her business has pivoted and how she's been able to not only survive but thrive in this time. Remember the name Electric Cherry. They're going to be some really good friends of ours moving forward. Also, if you're in the Denver area, go check the place out. It's fucking dope. It's a record store. She's got clothes in there. She's got stickers. She always has local art or from artists in the area, which local art, I guess, would imply that they're a local artist. But just to reinforce it twice, local art from local artists, hanging on the walls, all sorts of awesome stuff. I've got my wife a couple pictures out of there. There's also a cat in the back that's doing tattoos. Fucking awesome. It's such a brilliant idea, and Allie like I said, is a fantastic business owner. But she's got a couple great stories for us from her Bonnaroo days. So we're gonna let her get right into it. Here's Allie.
What is up, Elephant Wire? This is Ali Skiba, the owner of Electric Cherry Shop and Studios. Yes, your local record store, Slanger and Hanger in Old Town Arvada, Colorado. I am here to just give you some ridiculous drug story goodness because, every record store owner has had their share of drug culture experiences, right? Okay.
we would assume.
All right, fair.
We would assume.
Highly doubtful, though. So most of mine are from Bonnaroo because I'm from the East Coast. So the only fun place there was to go outside of Pennsylvania is all the way down to Tennessee, which is a bunch of crazy people at a music festival. So prior to owning a business, I spent about a decade kind of traveling, being a crazy gypsy, because that's what one does in their 20s.
Absolutely.
So my first one is probably from when I'm about 19, 20 years old, very unexperienced with the art of music festival survival. And we had no money at all. which was hilarious. And we decided to bring just red meat with us, which went bad instantly. So we had no food either. But somehow we had money for drugs.
Oh, well, of course.
I think it was like the first or second day we decided to drop acid in the middle of the afternoon when it was 105 degrees outside. Smart, right? Well, my friends bailed because, like, I obviously couldn't hang, you know? When it's, like, your first, like, drug trip, it's like, oh, no, what's happening? So I fell asleep on a piece of cardboard, woke up to the sound of John Fogerty. So that kind of revitalized me, which was pretty fun. Somehow I made my way back to camp. Don't remember how. Also, that evening, Dave Matthews played. And we haven't drank any water at this point. And I really don't think I should be sharing this, but yeah, may have accidentally found a water bottle on the ground and thought it was water. It was
Allie.
not.
Oh, no.
I'm not going to specify what liquid it was because people
Allie.
are probably never going to come near me if I do ever again. But yeah, that was pretty fucking gross.
Oh, Allie, no. Oh my God, that's too much. And like I said, she sent us 3 different stories, so there's her first one. We'll get to the other 2 in a little bit, but I wanted to share that one right off the bat. But I can, now that we're lubed up, I don't know if I'm already cracked into beer number 2. I mean, I'm definitely going to have the belches today, folks. That's actually not special. Now that I really think about it, I can't even imagine how many times I've actually belched full volume while I've been doing this. I've had it, when I think back on season 1, I remember there was a time where I had hair in my mouth and I gagged. I've had a cold multiple times, so I've been sniffling. Guys, I am not a professional, and thank you so much for putting up with my stupid ass. Thank you so much. But as we go forward, we're good and lubed up now. I tell you that one. I had a few Bloody Marys at brunch this morning, which was neat. Got some good food in the belly, made by some good friends, and now we're rolling along. But I figured a great place to start would maybe, outside of Allie's hilarious story about possibly drinking piss at Bonnaroo. That's absolutely outstanding. But I think it would be hilarious if we got into some professional stories, the cats that really set the bar so fucking high for us. And one of those cats that has set the bar so high is Keith Moon. None other than, he's absolutely one of the most infamous rock and roll party gods of all time. And he has to make the Elephant Wire party god list for sure. And he makes the list for one of my favorite stories of him is a time when he passed out on stage because he had a few too many horse tranquilizers and brandy. This was in 1973 at a concert in California. And he was unable. They were basically unable to revive him. Like he was down for the count. He was absolutely down for the count. So the band they were just like, well, does anyone know how to play drums? Anyone help us out here? So they invited a 19-year-old Scott Halpin up on stage to finish the set in place of Moon. And from all the stories that I was reading about this, apparently Scotty did a fantastic job. And, Keith didn't know what was fucking going on. He was tranquilizers and brandy, man. He was down for the count. Number 2 on our list of Elephant Wire party gods, we are going to throw Jimi Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix is absolutely up there. And, it'd be one thing to try to pick the best story or pick the most incredible story. I found this one because this was a new one for me. I had never heard this story before, and if you have, this is just a great one. There was a night where Jimi Hendrix was, it was either after or before, it had to have been after a show. Got out of the show and he was kind of walking the streets. He was trying to find someone that had some drugs. He was trying to party. He was trying to get high, and he met a group of kids who told him, they're like, oh yeah, we got tons of drugs, we got tons of booze back at the house, And Jimmy was like, all right, cool. So he rolled with him, and they get back to the house. Well, they ended up locking him in a bedroom, and they called his manager trying to get some ransom money for Jimi Hendrix. Now, Jimi Hendrix manager, this was more than likely not the first time where he had to get Jimmy out of a jam. I mean, I can only imagine Jimmy escaping the music venue in the first place. His manager is already like, oh, fuck, where did he go? And then all of a sudden he gets a phone call from these kids. They're like, we have Jimi Hendrix, and you have to give us $9,000. I'm only imagining this is going, and Jimi Hendrix manager like, Jesus fucking Christ. So he decides to call in a favor from a mob enforcer that he knew, a man by the name of Joe Roberts. So Joe Roberts goes, knocks on the door, and basically threatens their lives and tells them exactly how they will die, and it freaks them the fuck out, and they instantly release Jimi Hendrix. Now, the actual quote that Joe said was, "I'll give you a beating that you will never forget." Now, here's where the story is absolutely hilarious. Is Joe then goes into the bedroom where Jimi Hendrix was. Jimmy has no idea what's actually happening. He has no idea that he is being held captive. He has no idea that there is a ransom for him, and Joe, whenever he returns Jimmy back to his manager and gets him back to the music venue, Joe says to his manager, Jimmy was so stoned he didn't even know that he was kidnapped. And Jimmy was probably like, man, they had really good drugs, man. Come on. I thought that was absolutely outstanding. Last but not least on our drug gods, Elephant Wire drug gods list, we've got Neil Young. And in 1976, Neil Young was backstage for the recording. I don't know if you guys have seen this film. If not, you absolutely have to see it. As a musician, it will change the way that you feel about me. And watching the band in their film, The Last Waltz, as they just start bringing all of these upper echelon, high profile musicians up on stage for their last concert that they were filming. Neil Young was there, and Bob Dylan, John, you have all these incredibly famous musicians that are coming up on stage with them, and this is being filmed in like the mid '70s, so cocaine was literally everywhere. Everyone was doing cocaine, and backstage, everyone's just kind of passing it around and having their good times. The only problem, as far as for Neil Young, is it was absolutely obvious that he had been doing a lot of cocaine because there was a literal rock stuck inside his nose. So whether in the midst of doing a line it just got lodged and he didn't notice, or it was on purpose that he literally shoved a rock of cocaine into his nose so that just every time he inhaled, it's kind of up in the air how it actually happened. But the actual quote coming from people is that there was a sizable rock of cocaine, and it was clearly visible in his nostrils. So they filmed the last concert. It's not like they're going to stop and make him come off stage and be like, dude, there's a giant fucking, giant booger sugar. You got to get that thing out of there. They couldn't just cut the scene either. I mean, Neil Young coming up on stage and playing with the band, that was a huge moment. So instead, what they did, they had to get very inventive. And Robbie Robertson, he was the guitarist for the band. He was also the co-producer of the film The Last Waltz. He paid, I tried to find the actual number. All I could find was that, it said several $1,000s to have the cocaine visually erased from the film. Now, this is, like I said, we're in, what are we at, 1970 something, mid 70s? I can't remember what year the film actually came out. But this is a time where that procedure was not so much as like what would be today, just go on a computer and you can just erase it or change it or whatever. This is during a time where you had to go frame by frame of the film, and they had to actually erase it out of the film individually from each frame. And there was a quote from Robbie Robertson, like I said, the guitarist from the band. He said it was the most expensive cocaine I've ever bought. And then he followed up instantly with, I'm not proud of that. But it was absolutely one of the most infamous drug moments in just, rock and roll drug god history. It was absolutely outstanding. Neil Young, what a guy. Going from here, I mean, now that we've got, a few professional stories under our belt, most of my personal stories I'm actually going to hang on to for episodes that I do with 30 Hippie Kyle as we start to have some more fun with that. However, there were two stories that I was thinking. I don't know which one that I wanted to tell, but as I've gotten a couple beers in me, I'm ready. Let's do this. I was actually, I was planning on saving this for a more appropriate time, but this is actually a story of the time that I accidentally did fake heroin at the Majestic Theater in Madison, Wisconsin, when I was seeing Neon Indian. All right, so like I said, this is the story of the time I did fake heroin at the Majestic Theater in Madison, Wisconsin. I was 21 years old. I was really into like electronic and indie type music at the time, and I had just discovered how much I was infatuated with Neon Indian and the fact that, yes, it was electronic music. However, he was doing way less sampling and way more actually playing instruments. And I thought that was so fucking dope. So we found out he was going to be playing in Madison, Wisconsin. I was living in Chicago at the time, and we're like, hey, dude, let's just cruise up there. And so we grab a bunch of beers, roll a bunch of joints, head up to Madison, Majestic Theater right there on State Street. And we get up there, and one of our homies is like, hey, guys, I brought this stuff called Suboxone. And we were like, the fuck is Suboxone? And he's like, well, it's a lot like Vicodin. Now, I was actually at the time kind of going through a little like pain pill thing where I thought it was really cool to, take a bunch of Vicodin or Norco or stuff like that and then drink a bunch of booze and you'd get all, I thought it was so much fun. And, I'm sure I took about 80 years off my liver in my early 20s, but, that's why you do that in your early 20s so you can bounce back in your 30s. And so he pitched it to us like, hey, it's like Vicodin. I was like, well, cool. So he hands it to me as we're getting to the venue. And I have no idea what Suboxone is. I've never heard of the term in my life. But it was like a little Listerine strip. So I was like, okay, well, fuck it. Let's do this. So I, toss it in my mouth. And we get inside and, about 10, 20 minutes goes by. I don't really feel anything. It's, it is what it is. And then all of a sudden, halfway through, I think it was the first opener. No idea who they were. I'm pretty sure they were a local band in Madison or something. And they were doing a great job. All of a sudden, halfway through that first opener, I felt the most incredible I have ever felt in my entire life. Hands down, I will never feel that good again. It felt as if all 300 kids in that room were hugging me as I orgasmed. It was absolutely outstanding. It was absolutely outstanding. That being said, the next 48 hours of my life were the most horrific, abysmal, itchy, cold chill. I quit smoking for a week. That's how fucking bad it was. It was the worst come down off of a drug I've ever had in my life. And it was not until like a month later I was telling someone about how, if someone ever tries to offer you Suboxone, like, don't take it. And they were like, you realize that's like a form of methadone. I was like, I did not. And basically what happened is that I took fake heroin, and then I spent 48 hours wishing I had heroin when I had never even had it in my entire life. I didn't know what the feeling was. I just went into it completely unknowingly. I will say, though, one of the coolest things that happened that night, well, there were actually two really cool things. At one point, whenever that first 10 minutes, like I said, that was absolutely incredible, and then the come down just ton of, like a load of bricks just fucking smacked me, and I ended up I ended up basically missing the whole show because I spent most of the night in the stall of the Majestic just puking my fucking brains out. But at one point, I walked up to the bar because I was going to try to get a drink of water. Well, my eyes are all over the place. I'm like just bobbing and weaving back and forth and just feeling like absolute sin. And I looked to my left, and it was... in the moment, I looked over and I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me, because it was the lead singer of Neon Indian. He was standing there at the bar just having a beverage. And I was like, oh, fucking course. Like, of course you're going to see me like this. And he looks over. He's like, you good, dude? I was like, not really. And I kind of told him what was going on. He's like, holy shit, are you okay? So he like calls the bartender over. He gives me like 3-4 bottles of water, which, you know, at a music venue, that should have been what, $60? But he gives me, the guy from Neon Indian, I can't remember his name off the top of my head right now, but he gave me like a bunch of bottles of water. I fucking slammed him and then instantly went and puked them all back up again. And then later on in the evening, I was about to get kicked out by security because they thought that I was they thought I was completely out of my mind on drugs, which I was. They were absolutely right in their assessment of me. But at one point I come out of the bathroom stall after I'd just been shouting groceries in there. And I look up and there's 2 security guards standing there, and one of the guys he's like, you doing okay, man? And I was like, not really. And he's like, what seems to be the problem? And I was like, well, I'm on this new medication and I'm not supposed to drink. And I had a few beers before I came to the show. And he goes, are you sure? And I was like, yeah, it says right on the bottle, do not drink on this medication. And he was like, oh my God. So he takes me up to the bar and he gets me like 4 bottles of water. So I drank like $130 in bottled water at a music venue in one night. And that was about the coolest thing that happened, because I basically missed the whole show, going back and forth from the bar, getting bottles of water, puking them instantly. And like I said, the next 48 hours of my life, I was itchy, I was angry, I was cranky, little did I realize I just wanted more heroin, and I didn't even know I had it in the first place. It was absolutely bonkers. That's definitely one of my more fucked it up drug stories that I definitely have. But enough about the professionals, enough about me. That's not what this is about. This episode is called Drug Stories from Concert Goers Like You. That's who this is about. And one of the first stories I want to get into, because I hit up a bunch of our local bands to see how they were coming in, and it was really funny because, you know, I wanted to hit up all the local bands that I talked to, and I didn't want to have to type up a message every time. And it was really funny. A couple of bands hit me back up and they're like, "Hey, this looks like an auto response, but no, we're good." And I wanted to be like, no, actually, I did copy and paste it, but it's not. It is actually me. I'm sitting on my couch right now with my cell phone. But a bunch of them did actually get back in touch with us. And so the first one I wanted to play for you guys, one of the cats that I met through the local bands and everything like that. His name is Mari. We got a great story from Mari here. So let's see what he's got going on.
All right. So my name is Mari. I used to sing in a band called Articles from Stockton, California. And this is one of my many drug stories, but this is one of the better ones. It's one of my drug stories from a concert that I played in Chico.
Chico.
So usually if you're in a band, you usually get to venues way before everyone else does. And we were all in the van innocently playing Uno and, you know, just chilling, like big lounging, you know, fucking having quality time with the boys. So we do notice these 2 girls outside the van. They were there like at around the same time we got there, and they were just outside chilling or whatnot. We noticed that they were smoking. We didn't know if they were smoking weed or cigarettes because you know we couldn't smell it. And everybody from that band, you know, smoked like a fucking chimney. I'm sure they could outsmoke anyone in the entire world. So much so that I never had to buy fucking weed. I never had to buy weed because every time I smoked with them, you know, it was enough. I smoked enough to fucking like smoke myself like in a whole year. So anyways, we find out that, you know, it looks like one of their cigarettes has like grapes on the paper. Okay, so they might be smoking weed or whatnot. We invite them over to the van to see if they want to kick it. You know, yes, you know, they did look like teenagers. I'm pretty sure that they were teenagers because of what I'm going to explain later on. So we're all innocently in the van, playing Uno, with the two teenagers that were outside. We didn't know them. They were probably there for another band. And they asked us if we want to smoke. And as much as we're all stoners, nobody was smoking at the time, you know. So they smoked us out, and you know, we keep kicking it, playing Uno. Eventually, the show starts, and then we part ways or whatnot. My band was opening, and you know, had a good show. Those two girls, we made good friends with them. You know, in my opinion, like fucking, you know, as a musician, you have to respect your platform, respect the platform that you have. And I've met a lot of musicians that like really like don't see the difference between fans and friends. And I've never had fans. You know, if anyone was like interested or like my band, I never looked at them as fans. I always looked at them as new friends.
There you go.
You know, we made new friends with these two girls. You know, mostly I was closest with them because I just want, you know, we're just kicking it or whatnot. And they were in the front row while we were playing. And after we're done playing, I find out that they weren't in my sight anymore, because I definitely wanted to have their definitely was interested in having their unbiased opinion of how we sounded and how I sounded, because at this time I was unfortunately, you know, insecure enough that I need reassurance from other people to make sure like I was good.
Yeah. So
it's like I didn't have enough confidence to back myself up.
For sure. Yeah.
So I'm not like this shit anymore. You know, luckily I grew, and hopefully a bunch of other people realize this shit. It's a really good thing about self-acceptance. But you know, I was interested in their opinion, and so I go to find them, and they're with their mom. You know, they didn't say they were with their mom, but I thought it was a pretty good guess. So I meet their mom. Everything's cool or whatnot. The show goes on, and time goes by or whatnot. I'm in the crowd. Their mom comes up to me looking for them because she can't find them. So once we go on this wild goose chase to find these two teenagers, I'm not sure if they were caught smoking with someone else or whatnot, because for some reason the mom turned on me at the end of the night and was like, "You did drugs with my daughters, you gave my daughters weed," and you know, just talked all this shit and pretty much chased me out of the fucking venue. And I do not like confrontation, especially from especially from someone who has their mind made up. When it's like, come on, you dumb fucking, like, I'm sorry, like, you gotta fucking say it how it is, like, harsh truth, but come on, you dumb. She's acting, I gotta call out her fucking name, because she's acting like a dumb bitch because she's fucking, you know, believing in what she thinks instead of what she knows. And honestly, that saying alone can get you in a lot of trouble. Yep. You know, you need fucking proof. Don't be a dummy. So she chases me out. I run away. I'm like, I'm not dealing with this bitch.
I'm out.
And like, I hide in the van, and fucking, you know, luckily one of my bandmates like got her, you know, he got her away. Like, she saw me go in the van, you know, and it was really embarrassing for me to be hiding out in there, but you know, it's out. Fuck. You know, if you guys don't know this, I know this from personal experience, it's really tough to calm someone down when their mind is made up.
Oh yeah.
You know, there are some people that just get mad and they just feed into it and they let it control them, and they end up embarrassing themselves. Mm. And unfortunately, most of the time, you know, they don't have any good friends or good people around them to check the fucking person. So, you know, I wasn't the only person embarrassed hiding out in the van. And the funniest part of this story is that she's accusing me of smoking weed with them when they were the ones that smoked us out. So that's hella funny to me. You know, fucking all that shit for nothing. Yeah. Actually, it was for something. Now that I'm really retelling the story this way, I just realized that it was for something. Like, it's always been just like a funny story to tell.
Sure.
Like, just a situation I got myself in. You know, I have a saying, you know, even good deeds don't come unpunished. Like, it's a situation I was trying to be friendly. I was interested in like making friends, and you know, that got me in a bunch of shit. And you know, they fucking smoked us out. So it was worth it because I had to take one for the team. I'm pretty sure that they didn't want to get in trouble by their mom. So they
absolutely
made up a lie or put it on me.
Absolutely.
And, you know, it's good. It's goodies. I didn't even think about that until I started talking about this story. So luckily, I'm a lot more wise than I was before. And even though, you know, it's not cool to put it on someone else, you know, no hard feelings. And I definitely didn't think about it at the time because it was just so funny that I had to like hide away from someone's mom. You know, like I never thought that I would be chased out of a venue by someone's mom for smoking weed, of all things.
Yeah, of all things.
If your daughter's smoking weed, you could fucking smell that shit. Come on, dude. Hi. Anyways, that's my story, and you know, I might have another one. I'm gonna think of another one. So.
Well, right on, Maury. Maury, that's classic. It's also a fucking hilarious. It's a hilarious visual too, just to think of. You get to a venue, you're just stoked to play a show. You meet some kids that are like, "Oh man, like they're into our tunes. This is awesome!" Just to get chased out of the venue by their fucking mom. I love that shit. Great story. Thank you, Maury, for letting us know all about that one. That's hilarious. I got another submission here. This is from the very first band that we had as our local band of the week, Cheer Up Dusty. I was talking to Dusty not too long ago, and he was like, "Yeah, I got one for you, man." So he gave us a story. He sent it in. He just typed it up for me. He said, "Once, whenever I was 17 or 18, I played a show at Nifty 50s," and I had to look that up because it's, excuse me, all I've done this whole episode is belch. I had to look it up. Place called Nifty 50s. It's a diner in like Pennsylvania and New Jersey. Cheer Up Dusty is from Philly, so. But he's playing a show. He's like 17 or 18 at Nifty 50s. No one in my band could make it, so I was doing a solo acoustic set, which already, like, this just sets up the evening. All of us, as we were going through our music careers, how many times did that happen? We're like, everyone showed up but the drummer. So like, well, what the fuck are we supposed to do? Or like, you know, just the ridiculousness of trying to get a band off the ground and trying to get everyone on the same page. There's so much going on. But he says here, my friend John came to support me, and prior to the show starting, we went out and smoked a joint. I got much too high, and after my set, I looked at the crowd, who looked horrified after he finished his set, and he walked off the tiny stage into the crowd to just leave the room, just to get the fuck out of there. He slipped and fell, banged his head in front of the whole venue with no background music or anything. It was just quiet. Everyone's eyes on him. Fucking goes down in a heap. Boom! Nails his head. Gets up all wobbly. Had to run out of there. Dusty, you're not alone. Anyone starting their music career, getting started at the beginning, we've all done that. I was playing a show one time. I was in Crystal Lake, Illinois. I was at a VFW. Same thing. I didn't even have a band at the time because everyone was just like, "Oh, well, we don't want to be in a band." So I was just playing an acoustic show. I was in the middle of my fucking set, and some dude walked up and took the microphone and walked away. And I was just like, all right, fuck it. I guess I'm done. Oh my God. Let's do another story by Allie. Let's see what she's up to.
Story number 2. A couple years later, we were starting to get a little more experienced. It was probably the last day of Bonnaroo. So there's always like a giant headliner to kind of close off the weekend. So it was Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Ooh. Fucking amazing.
Nice.
That was chill. No craziness yet. Afterwards, there was a surprise Fish performance. So we were stoked on that, had some leftover drugs, as one would, that goes to a music festival. What do? Drop acid in the rain to Fish. I have to tell you, though, we didn't realize Fish was actually playing. The funny part of this story was when we took acid, we went back to the campsite, just chilling, you know, like we were going to close up and leave the next day. Yeah, so we started hearing like Wookiee noises from the woods. Weren't sure what was happening. At first, I thought I was just hearing it. No. Everyone in my LSD party was also hearing these noises. We thought maybe Chewbacca was in the woods. We thought we were in this strange trip. Like, what the fuck is happening? No, it turns out Fish was playing Star Wars, and we had no fucking idea. So that was cool. We finally realized that. We were obviously very excited. What was the next thing we did? We got in the car of this, like, really bitchy girl. Like, she was, like, a total bitch. Like, totally destroyed the entire weekend. So we were just, like, not having that. And we got in our car, and we may or may not have opened, like, every glow stick we had and made it into a giant rave inside of her car.
Ooh, man.
Ooh, she was not happy about that. I think whoever she was with, they actually broke up right after that too.
Yikes.
Please don't do that ever. And also, like, I'm pretty sure it got like on our hands and our mouth. Yeah, something you do on acid, right? Yeah, so that was part of it. And we decided it was going to be smart to drive around with the car like that, blaring music. Yeah, somehow we didn't get in trouble. Thank you, Bonnaroo Jesus.
God, I hope Bonnaroo Jesus is a real guy. Because I've never been to Bonnaroo. So someone out there might be going, oh, no, he's very real. But if he's not, Bonnaroo Jesus is... that's a class act move. I like that. I wanna throw another story in here. This is Allie's got one more story for us. But before I do, I wanna tell one other story. This is a good old story about George Clinton, who is basically a demigod in the drug game. A good friend of mine who will remain very anonymous due to the fact that I buy mushrooms from them. And I ain't no rat, so they're going to stay very anonymous. But they went to a Parliament Funkadelic show a few years back, and they spent the extra money and got the VIP tickets. And that came with some meet and greet passes, and they were super stoked on that. So they get to the venue early, and they're waiting in line to meet George Clinton. They're standing there, and they are absolutely racking their brain trying to figure out how they're going to hand off some of their famous mushroom goo. If you don't know what mushroom goo is, because first time it was pitched to me, I didn't either. They basically reduce. They take a bunch of boomers and they reduce them down to almost like a resin that absolutely tastes like sin. It is awful, but fuck me, dude. You blast off. It is absolutely outstanding. So they get up there to meet. George Clinton, and then, like I said, they're trying to figure out like how are we going to do this handoff? How are we going to give George some of the goo? You know. So they decide to just fucking go for it. When they get up, they're like, hey, Mr. Clinton, like, say a couple things. And they're just like, hey, I wanted to give you this. And they just kind of give him a quick, like, here's what it is. They do the handoff. Obviously, George Clinton is OG as fuck and knew exactly how to do it and what was going on. So he did, like, the fake slap hand high five. He knew exactly what he was doing. Gets the picture. So they like I said, they get their picture with George Clinton. They walk away. They get into the venue, snag a good spot. And they're super stoked that they were able to just pass on to, like I said, a demigod of the funkadelic. It had to have been just such a surreal moment. So they get in the venue and the show starts. Parliament comes out on stage. They start playing. George isn't out there yet. Second song, third song, George isn't out there. Finally, eventually about halfway through the show, George starts coming out on stage, and the crowd is going fucking bonkers the second they see him, and it's just absolute banana lands when he starts walking out there. However, George is visibly having a bit of a time getting up to the microphone. He's just a tad wobbly trying to get up there. So he finally gets to the mic, and the band kind of they kind of chill out for a second, and they just kind of calm down. And George just says, "What is the goo?" And then he just proceeds to repeat that about 25 more times, and that was about the only thing he was able to get out of his mouth. But all in all, I mean, yes, this is a pretty standard George Clinton move to not even show up on stage till about halfway through the show. But my friend that gave him the goo, to this day, they view that as one of their proudest professional moments in their industry, is that they literally blew the mind of a man who one would assume their mind could not ever be blown anymore. The mind is absolutely outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. And like I said, I wanted to keep them as anonymous as possible because they sell some of the best boomers I've ever had in my life. And I really want to keep that relationship if I possibly can. That'd be awesome. But the goo, oh man, the goo. The goo is good times. If you ever have an opportunity or hear about it, don't think about it. Try some. It's absolutely outstanding. But we got one more. We got one more fun story from Allie. Allie, this is your last one. What do you got for us, baby girl? Take us home.
All right, third one's the best. Sorry to ramble, but just, got to. The third one, Paul McCartney was playing. So I was probably about 25 or 26 at this point. It was right before I moved to Colorado.
Okay.
We were mature. We understood that now we need to take our drugs at night, so we're not going to die in the heat. We dropped right as Paul McCartney went on. I just clearly remember when he went into playing Wings, and the song Jet specifically. It was just like he was up in the sky with a Technicolor piano, with a clouded background. Granted, if you were in normal reality, it was just on the screen and just like, green screen or whatever the fuck they do to make that happen. But no, it was like Paul McCartney was God in the sky. We were crying. It was amazing. It was all of that going on. So if that's not enough for you, we decided to trek to another stage then. Actually, so if you've never been to Bonnaroo, there's like a map of like 5 different stages. So you have to like kind of trek through giant crowds of people in order to get to the smaller ones. And doing this on LSD is not fucking easy. So we get stuck in this like weird ass like wormhole. It's like this mud, and we're staring at the trees, and somehow I think we were there for like 5 minutes, just standing in one direction, staring at the trees, dancing. It was like this little like gully of mud. We just got stuck in it. And for some reason we thought this was like a witch's circle. Oh. I don't know why, but we all looked at each other, and I don't know if this was the acid or if this was really happening to this day. Everyone else was just staring at the trees like robots. I cannot tell you. We got so freaked out that when we realized that, we fucking darted. Like, we sprinted. And we're still sprinting because it's fun at this point. Yeah. And somehow we end up in front of ZZ Top. Oh. We didn't even know ZZ Top was going to play because they were a part of the Super Jam. So it was just kind of one of those surprises. And we were just like, holy shit, this is fucking ZZ Top. So, yeah. Tripping on fucking acid, sprinting like you're in a marathon, and ZZ Top is playing in the background. Pretty solid, right?
Black tie.
Until you realize that you've had puke on your Camelback the entire time.
Oh.
What do you do when you're on drugs? You don't clean it. You throw that away.
Oh, yeah.
So if that's not enough for you, then we somehow end up in front of Schoolboy Q.
Oh, hell yeah.
We had no recollection of what was happening at that point. We decided to sit on the ground in a meditative stance. And we're so far in the fucking trip at this point that it feels like we're like in a garden. Like, I cannot make this shit up to you. Like, it felt like we were in Peter Rabbit's garden. Like, I don't know if that has something to do with like my psyche and being a kid and like a safe space, but it's fucking trap music and I'm thinking I'm in a children's book. I don't know what's happening. We're all sitting, people are dancing around us. It looks like there's like lettuce and sprouts growing from the ground. I don't know, man. Something I'm never gonna be able to forget for the life of me.
Goofy.
But yeah, that's some of my capsules. If you want to hear more, let me know. This was fucking fun. Elephant Wire, you are the best. All right. Peace out, homies.
Word. I think that would probably be one of the only times that anyone has ever referred to a Schoolboy Q concert as feeling like they're in Mr. McGregor's garden with Peter Rabbit. That's if I was Schoolboy Q, I would be honored to have that type of have that. Oh, well, that's how you felt at my show. Well, that's exactly what I was going for. Yeah. Did you see the carrots? Did you catch the sprouts? Oh, you did. Okay, perfect. I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it, guys. To close out this absolutely fucking ridiculous episode, I just want to say thank you to everyone that made this this first season so incredible. Honestly, thank you to all of you, to all the local bands that we spotlighted this season. You guys are fucking awesome. I just want to say thank you to our two supporters once again. We got Dana in California and Stan in Colorado. Like I said, to show our gratitude to you, we got a t-shirt coming your way to say thank you for all you've done for us. To those of you that support this podcast in spirit and tuning in every week and telling your friends and family and sharing our shit and following and liking it, however you've played a part, I truly, from the bottom of my heart, I really want to say thank you. It means the absolute world to me. To the suits, go fuck yourselves. We don't want you and we're not friends. That being said, I also want to address, this episode was released a week later than what it was originally scheduled to be released. I want to dedicate this episode to my pup, Joseph. Joseph was a good pup. He was a good friend to all of us. And Monday was a tough day saying bye to Joseph. But once again, I mean, I had to show my wife the flooding in of messages from literally all over the world from all of you guys just reaching out and sharing love with us, to let me know you were thinking about him, or just saying, hey, we're here for you. That sucks. Whatever the message was, it absolutely meant the world, and I don't take it lightly. And whenever I say thank you from the bottom of my heart, I truly am so grateful. I'm humbled and I'm honored. And because of that, as this podcast goes forward, I want you to know that, I worked my tail off for season 1, but you haven't seen anything yet. We have huge plans for season 2. Things are going to get bigger and bolder and just more fucking bonkers. We are going to have a blast of a fucking time. Which brings us to the final local band spotlight of season 1. And this week, from Lapeer, Michigan, we have Gray Tuesday. Gray Tuesday, everybody. One more belch before we get into this. Gray Tuesday originally started as an EDM duo consisting of Matthew and a friend of his under the name 48 Hours. They released their first songs and album, Behind the Door, which consisted of basically just loops from GarageBand. They uploaded their first song to YouTube in February 2017, considered themselves a band, even though they didn't really know what they were doing. Behind the Door consisted of about 10 to 12 songs. Then they started working on another album called Prove You Wrong, which was aimed at a 7th grade English teacher who told them during a career research project that no one from this class would become a successful musician. Now, I was actually thinking about this last week because I was talking to another friend of mine who had a very similar story. And I would only assume that 90% of the time the teacher is being an absolute fucking prick and saying, you're not going to make it as a musician. But I also wonder if 10% of the time that teacher just wants to be the one that in 30 years, whenever Gray Tuesday is standing there accepting an award and he says, this goes to you, Mr. Smith, fuck you. And he's like, yeah, it worked. You know what I mean? I wonder if there's like some weird, like psychological warfare kind of, if you tell him he can't do it, then he's going to work even harder to get it done. And the guy's like a closet music nerd. I don't know. I hate to give credit to an English teacher, but it's a fun thought. It's a fun thought. We'll ask Matthew at some point if he thinks that there's any weight behind that at all. But we keep going. Halfway through making that album, Matthew decided to kick his bandmate out due to creative differences. Matt eventually took down all the songs that he'd made with his ex-bandmate, and it basically started from scratch. He changed the name of the band to Not Dead Yet and released an EP that was named Not Dead Yet after the name of the band. He then started using other music production tools and started really growing as a musician in general. He ended up releasing an EP called 3 Factors. The cover for the EP consisted of a picture of an ape, a picture of his cat, and a picture of himself. 3 Factors. There's a lot to delve into there. 3 factors: an ape, a cat, and himself. Interesting. Around 2 to 3 months later, he dropped The Bright Side, which featured 6 songs. This was his first album to contain all original songs. So by that, I'm assuming he means that not only did he write all the songs, but instead of using samples, he actually was playing all of the sounds that are going on in there. Fast forward just a couple months into July of 2017, and he changed his name again, but this time to Gray Tuesday, and released Gray Tuesday's 48 Hours to pay homage to his old name that he had originally been releasing music under. He then went on to release Evolved, which was his first EP album where he wrote all the songs himself. In February of 2018, he decided to take a break from music, and that break lasted about 6 months. During that break, though, he decided he needed to reinvent himself and his sound. Instead of just chill instrumentals, he aimed to make more alternative-sounding songs with meaningful lyrics. In August of 2018, he posted on Instagram with the caption, "Working Hard." And in December of 2018, Matthew released his first lyrical song and went on to release 2 more as the November EP. In April of 2020, Matthew made a tweet saying, "Locked In," which didn't make sense at first, but it turned out to be a subtle hint toward his new song, Locked In, that was released May 15th, 2020. After being silent for 5 months once again on social media, Gray Tuesday posted a video of what seemed to be a teaser for a new song on February 5th, 2021 with the caption, question mark. 2 weeks later, he released a new single titled 306, which is the song that we will be adding to our local bands that don't suck playlist on Spotify. Gray Tuesday, Matthew, thank you so much for being the local band spotlight highlighted band of this week. Keep up the fucking good work. Keep making good tunes. Keep writing lyrics. That's what I'm fucking talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a wrap for season 1. It is crazy to see how far we've come in such a short time. Let me just give you a little update on how things are going to go from here. We're going to take kind of a little break. Not necessarily, though. We're going to take a little break until we start up on season 2. But we're going to get things rolling as soon as possible. Keep a sharp eye on the Instagram page. That is mainly where I'm going to keep you guys informed. We have a Twitter. We have a Facebook. But basically, those are just getting the exact same information that the Instagram is getting. Instagram is getting the actual organic stuff, and then it's just filtered out from there. So keep an eye on the Instagram page. In the meantime, before season 2 gets started, we have some tentative dates planned at the moment. However, in the meantime, we're going to do a couple mini-sodes and a couple interviews with a couple different musicians and some people in the music industries. So we're going to be releasing those as not only episodes on Anchor, which will end up on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all those places, but there'll also be videos that you can catch on our YouTube as well and then on our IGTV. Once again, I cannot thank you guys enough for the amount of love and support that you've shown these past few months. This is absolutely incredible. To all of our local bands from season 1, keep fucking moving. Don't stop. Don't slow down. We got your back. Support local music, guys. Support local bands. They are the lifeblood of our communities. Absolutely. I was just talking to, it's crazy how many different people that I've been able to meet doing this. And I was just talking to someone recently and they were telling me about, there's an area in Denver where they're thinking about giving, like rent credit to artists to bring artists into one community to have a legitimate art district full of artists doing paintings and venues. And I was just like, this is absolutely blowing my mind. Whenever this happens, let me know and I'll tell everyone where they're supposed to move and where. That's about all I got for you guys. Once again, thank you so much. This episode has been dedicated to Joseph the dog. He was a fantastic friend, and we will miss him greatly. He was a great pup. So one more time for season 1, fuck the man, hail Satan, hug your mom. I'll catch you guys soon. Peace.